Need to make sure everybody knows that this is.
Do what?
You need to make sure everybody knows this is just until the election.
Yeah, well, it is. It's till July the 1st, actually.
July 1st.
Yeah. The only thing this is appointment for is for July the 1st. Okay? And we really tried to hold this up and not appoint anybody, but we couldn't by law. Yeah.
That's how I got here.
Say it loud. They can't hear you on TV.
I, Karen McCoy, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
of America and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
of America and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
discharge the duties of the office
discharge the duties of the office
of Board of Education member
of Board of Education member
of Pocahontas County Schools
of Pocahontas County Schools
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skills and judgment,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Let me see at the end of the day.
Congratulations. Yeah, you don't get a break. They just throw you right in.
Now, after the meeting is over, you have to stick around. Okay? Because you'll have paperwork and stuff like that about tomorrow. Okay. Second here, the next item on the agenda, and you all are welcome to stay or you can go. It's up to you all. Okay? It's up to you. All right. The second public hearing and discussion on the 2026-27 calendar. Dr. Holmes.
Hello, this is the second public hearing, so at this time it's informal. If anybody has any questions or needs clarification, you can ask. We went through the process. It was an exciting calendar season. I had never actually facilitated it myself before, but I've been part of a committee before, so I did learn a lot in the process. Our committee was awesome. And I think that the work that was done prior to releasing the calendars for vote, I think in the voting, it showed that we were in line with what people wanted. It was decided to keep the options similar with the more, I guess, popular things that were wanted in both calendars, and really just kind of tweak the beginning and end dates. So there was not a lot of differences in the final two calendars. Prior to the vote, we had 3 meetings, and also Dr. Williams and I also discussed, I'm keeping her up to date on what's going on with those meetings. She's actually at 2 of them. So there are 12 things that had to be considered prior to completing that I went over the last time, but I'll run down real quick. 1, it has to be, the school calendar has to be created through the West Virginia School Calendar Program. This is an online dashboard that facilitators and superintendents have access to. You have to determine your first day of employment, first day of instruction, and the last day of the first semester. You have to make sure you have 2 prep days, 1 prior to students coming and 1 after the instructor. You have to have 6 what is called outside school environment days. And 4 of those have to be held after the 133rd day of school. And those are generally reserved as makeup days, for lack of a better explanation. You have to have any curriculum development professional learning days in your calendar to meet the numbers requirements. If you're an equivalent time county, which we are, which means we have, all schools have at least 30 minutes more added to their instructional day. That gives you a lot of room to work with as a board. It gives you room to have cancellations, delays, early dismissals. You have to select your high school graduation date, and you have to make sure all 6 faculty senate dates are appropriately scheduled. To be honest, and I said this last time, you can't really go wrong on this now, because whoever how it used to be done, now you once you're in this online program and you're clicking different things, it'll tell you, it says fail. So if you have any failures, you can't even complete it. So we narrowed it down to 2 options, one with an employee start date of August 12th. The other with an employee start date of August 17th. And then, like I said, we would have all of Thanksgiving off. Students would have 2 weeks off at Christmas. There'd be 6 days off around Easter break. That this time, we put as out of calendar days, meaning they're more protected from having to be made up. And then the August 12th calendar, the last day for employees was June 9th. And the August 17th calendar, last day for employees was June 14th. I put this for a vote up through Microsoft Forms. It is connected to employees' email accounts. It was only for employees to vote. They didn't have to vote. We had 94 votes, which I think I gave you guys all of this. Broke it down into different, employee status, work location. And then the one that won was option 1 with the start date of August 12th for employees, August 19th for students, with August 17th and 18th being those professional learning days, meaning we earned those through equivalent time. So technically, the instructional term starts on August 17th, but the students in grades K to 12 will start the 19th. Graduation set for May 28th, 2027. It was very close. Again, I think that means we want to put everything in there that people had requested. And I think that's it. If anybody has any questions or any clarifications needed or anything else.
This is the one that got the most votes.
Yes.
Okay with it.
Perfect. All right, that concludes my presentation.
So what do we got? One more time?
We got one more reading.
Before we vote on it, or?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot that whole
We'll
part.
vote on tonight?
So once this is voted on tonight, which is on the agenda, it will be submitted to the State Department for their final approval by May 1st. We also have to work on our NTID plan, our remote learning plan. We just have to tweak a few things there and then we'll submit all of that together. So it's really not approved until the state says it.
But we got plenty of time.
We have, what is today? 7, 23, 4 days.
We're gonna vote on this.
It's on down the line.
It's on down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have it with you?
Yes, it's right here.
You got to put it in your packet.
It's
It's in
option,
your package.
option 1.
It's,
The vote was, you want to see what the vote was?
So option 1 had 51 votes and option 2 had 43. So again, very close, which I think indicates the committee got it right.
It's right behind the agenda in your packet.
Once this is all final approved, then Christy will start working on putting that on the webpage. Then pre-K will select their dates from this. And then that'll be another board agenda request for approval on down the road.
all right, thank you. Delegations.
No.
We don't have any. Recognitions, none. School improvement updates, attendance report, chart, special education, Pocahontas County Schools at a glance.
Okay, so I just want to always bring our focus back to our agenda, and to our goals, which are at the top of our agenda. And one of those goals is number 4. During the 25-26 school year, the number of chronically absent students will decrease by 50 students, with no school showing less than a 10% reduction in the number of chronically absent school students at their school. So every board meeting, I give you a report out, or I have Ms. Dunlap give you a report out on attendance, chronically absent attendance. And today she's also added in the average daily attendance, which I'm going to talk about in my personnel update. So for Hillsborough, this exact same day last year, this exact same point in time last year, they had a 25% chronically absentee rate. To date this year, they have a 14.52, which is almost a 10% reduction in the number of chronically absent students. Last year at this time, they had an average daily attendance rate of 92.24. This year, they have an average daily attendance rate at 93.56. Green Bank Elementary Middle School, last year they had a chronically absentee rate of 25.26%. This year, at this time, it's 23%. Last year, they had an average daily attendance rate of 95.5. This year, it's 92.1. Marlton Elementary School last year, and we are seeing an increase in some of our schools because of flu season. They had a chronically absentee rate of 25.98. They have a chronically absentee rate of 27.78. Marlton Middle School, they had a chronically absentee rate last year of 33.58. At this point in the year, they have one of 31.09%. Pocahontas County High School, we still have a tremendous amount of work to do there. Last year at this time, they were 37.28. At this time this year, they're 43.58. Pocahontas County Schools last year was 30.54. Right now, they're 30.98. Let me go back up and pick up Marlton Elementary, have an average daily attendance rate last year of 91.35. This year it's 91.46, which is better. Marlton Middle School was 91.10. This year they're 91.63, which is also slightly better. Pocahontas County High School at 89.06, average daily attendance rate. This year it's 89.33, so their average daily attendance rate is better. For the county, our average daily attendance rate last year was 90.9. Right now, it is 91.36. So average daily attendance rate is important through to 3 steps of our funding formula. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. So just to keep you updated on what our attendance is and where we stand with that. The next thing that is in your packet that I wanted to go over was special education numbers. Per school, Green Bank Elementary Middle has 50 special education students. And I'm just going to read that off according to their general population. So 50 education students. Hillsborough has 11 education students. Marlton Elementary has 36. Marlton Middle School has 21, and Pocahontas County High School has 50 special education students. When you look at that proportionally, Green Bank has 198 students, so that means 50 of their 198 students are special education. Hillsborough has approximately 76 students. They have 11 special education students. Marlton Elementary School has about 201 students. They have 36 special education students. Marlton Middle has 111 students. They have 21 special education students. And Pocahontas County High School has 232 students and they have 50 special education students. That is important to ratios in our school system. Of our special education students, I decided that it is important that we understand what types of disabilities or exceptionalities we have. We have 13 students in our district with autism, 1 student with deafness, 10 students with developmental delay, 2 students with emotional disturbance, 19 students with an intellectual disability, 1 student with an intellectual disability mild, 20 students with other health impaired, 86 students with has a specific learning disability in our school system. So if we turn in your packet over, and this went out to the public. So I just want to talk a little bit about our ratios. I've gone back a couple of years, Mr. Gibson. It's in your packet. We have 710 students that do not have a disability in our district and 170 that do. Proportionally, that is a high percentage of students that have a disability. Last year, we had 770 students and 199 students with a disability. The previous year, we had 767 students that did not have a disability and 191. And I gave you the 5-year trend with our students with disabilities. This trend is important because I've made some proposals in our personnel plan that I want to connect back to this information in looking at, I see our special ed directors over there. I want to connect back to some changes in our personnel plan that we have to put in place to address the specific needs of our students in our county. Are there any questions on special education or attendance?
On the attendance, how many have we sent, did all the paperwork and sent it to the prosecutor to?
I do not know how many we have sent to the prosecutor. I do know that we have several students that are in the YRC over attendance. And there is a process for getting them in there. We have multiple students that are in the SAT process at the school. So it goes SAT process, and then to the prosecuting attorney. I will tell you that I spoke with Miss Bland at the high school. We had 53 students that have been chronically absent, and as of Christmas, we had not done any SAT meetings on those students. So I asked Miss Bland to start that process, and she had to start the initial SAT process for those students.
What's SAT? Excuse me, what's SAT?
It's a student assistance team meeting where the group of teachers get together, they have the parent in, and they discuss the attendance problems and how to mitigate those circumstances and get the students to school on time. We also have discussed students that are tardy. And this will not be popular. This is not going to be popular with folks, and I understand that. But if you have 15 tardies to school, your driving privilege is going to be revoked.
I don't think they should drive anymore.
So it is a way to incentivize, you get to drive your car, you get to school on time. So we have to have that responsibility training for our students. So Ms. Bland has started looking at that with Mr. Barlow, and we are starting to address driver's permits for students that are chronically tardy to school. It's important to get to school on time. Just like it's important you get to work on time. It's a work skill.
Absolutely.
Is it possible to have a chronic absence? Do you have so many days absent, unexcused absence that you lose your driver's permit?
Well, it is actually. No, it is not. We can take their driving privileges at the school.
Mhm.
The state law changed
I know
years
it's all
ago.
changed on the other one,
Yeah.
that's why we have this. But if we could take the driving permit from school,
We can take their driver's permit.
and not just the permit from school, but their ability to ride with other students, so they have to ride the bus, you'd probably see it go down even more.
We have some anomalies in our driving. We've been working on driving permits. When Ms. Blaine got there, we had some protocols and procedures that had not been followed. We're tightening up on those. And that includes looking at those driving permits. And if you're under 18, you're limited on who should be driving in your car anyway. So we're starting to tighten up on all those things. And I imagine it's going to be a hard road for us to rein that system in, but we are beginning to rein that in.
Well, in the past, they always said, I don't know if this is true or not, that if you were under 18 and a student had drove and you went out there and got in the car with them without written permission, the county system, if there was a wreck, was actually responsible for that child because they're under our protection. We should have seen to it that they were on the bus.
We have tightened up all those things. We are working on it. I want to say that Ruth Bland is nothing short of a superhero in my eyes.
She's changed the climate.
She certainly has. So there's a lot of things that we are working on. There's a lot of things that needs to be done. And driving permits with tardiness is one of our priorities right now.
So the reason I bring that up is two reasons. One of them is safety to me,
Absolutely.
and the other one is funding. If those kids are tardy and stuff, they don't count. We don't get funding. I mean, there's a whole, and I'm saying that because you all are here. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes on that's behind the scenes that I had no clue whatsoever until I got here. But there's reasons for everything.
And I'm going to go over the funding and the average daily attendance rate tonight when I talk about the 7 steps.
Steal your thunder.
No, not at all. I can share the thunder.
Any other questions for Dr. Williams? All right, consent agenda items, approval of the agenda. Approval of the agenda minutes from March 3rd, 2026 to March 17th, 2026. Payment of bills subject to additions, deletions, or other changes prior to the board meeting. Payment of vendor listing 81,078.46. Payment of the P card 82,931.77. March 17th, 2026 employee payroll 299,869.35. Extra duty pay for March 2026 23,199.96. Bank reconciliation for February 2026, fund grants, budget adjustments, and budget transfers and supplements subject to additions, deletions, or other changes prior to the board meeting. Do I have a motion? Mr. McCombs made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. McNabb seconded. Any questions?
We need more, that should do, yeah.
Okay. Right. We will vote on all of them, but the extra duty pay for March 2026. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Let the record show that Mr. McCombs has recused himself, and we will vote on extra duty pay for March 2026 at $23,199.96. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. I got a question about this. I know we got to pay it, but I got a question about it. How come that extra duty pay is going up and down so much? Did I not see that on the last one where we didn't pay very much and I thought we was doing great? And now it's back up to 23,000.
Well, we have our after-school 21st century program.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we have a struggle with having people to work in that program. So we're hiring and appointing new people at different board meetings, and then they're starting the program back up and getting extra duty pay, and then they're resigning their position and extra duty pay is going back down.
But is this paid by after school? Is that paid by us or paid by a grant?
It's paid by that $250,000
Grant. Okay.
21st century grant. So we want as
That's what I
many
wanted to
people
look
as
at.
possible working and tutoring our kids after school. And in fairness, we are having a difficult time, and Miss Hammonds may want to comment on this, getting kids to stay after school in some of the locations for our after school program. One of the locations that we are struggling with regularly is the high school. Kids staying after duty after school.
Yeah, if it's not athletics, or the kids stay. Drama club is fairly popular. On those days, we probably have about 20 kids, but other days, even if kids sign up, a lot of times they just hop on the bus and go home because they want to go home and get on their phone or, watch TV, or it's very hard to make motivated.
It's spring, so your numbers are going to drop. I think Greenbank told me they had 9 now. Is all they had?
And there's wall up and down, like flu season is really hot, so they normally have 17. But yeah, it's getting more difficult to get kids. And, spring season is trying, we have on the farm, for cabin, with land, so yeah, it's been difficult.
We're struggling with the after-school program and participation.
You will in the spring. All the kids went outside and it's pretty weather. You can't. Okay.
Can we tie the tardy into that and have to make up the time?
Well, the after-school grant really isn't a truancy program, diversion program. So that's a disciplinary measure, not a volunteer measure. Probably not. That's a great idea.
You're saying it wouldn't be a good idea to do.
It would not be a good idea. It'd be in violation of probably federal code.
Okay. Personnel matters. Do I have a motion?
Yeah.
So moved.
Mr. McCombs made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. McNabb seconded. Ollie, what we got? It'll be the back. It'll be number 9 in the back.
Personnel agenda for April the 7th, 2026. Professional recommendations. Approval of the following mutual agreed to administrative reassignments effective July the 1st, 2026. Philip Anderson from Director of Special Education Preschool and Student Support to Director of Special Education Technology, Safety, and Student Supports. Julie Dunlap from Director of Child Nutrition, Attendance Assessment, and Student Affairs to Director of Child Nutrition, Attendance, Assessment, and Student Affairs to now include communities and schools and counselors. Stephanie Burns from Coordinator of Federal Programs, School Improvement, Textbooks and Community Engagement to Coordinator of Federal Programs, School Improvement, Textbooks and Community Engagement, removing the responsibilities of communities in schools. Christy Hammonds from Coordinator, Technology Systems Specialist to Assistant Director of Technology with an increased supplement of $1,000. Service recommendations are reclassification. Arthur Sharp from a pay grade D as custodian 4 back to a pay grade G for sanitation plant operator effective April the 8th, 2026 due to adequate certification. Resignation of Billy Haymond as a substitute custodian effective March the 31st, 2026. Extracurricular recommendations, resignation of Melissa Taylor as the interim head girls basketball coach at Greenbank Elementary Middle School effective March the 31st, 2026. Resignation of Nebraska Scotchy as athletic director for Marlinton Middle School effective March the 27th, 2026. And employment of Pete Monaco as a dollar coach for baseball effective April the 8th, 2026 for the remainder of the 25-26 athletic season.
Any questions?
No, I don't have anything, sir.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Uh,
Motion carried.
Congratulations, Miss Christie.
All right. Old business. Discussion or action proposed policy revision 2275, Mountaineer Challenge Academy. Final reading, discussion action proposed policy revision 2340, field code curriculum and other extracurriculum county supported trips. Final reading. Discussion and action proposed policy revisions 3139.01, suspension. Final reading. D, discussion action proposed policy revision 4139-01, suspension. Final reading. E, discussion action proposed policy revision 4160.02, physical examination qualifications for bus drivers. Final reading. Discussion and action proposed policy revision 5111, eligibility of resident, non-resident students for enrollment. Final reading. Discussion and action proposed policy revision 5113.02, school choice options. Final reading. H, discussion or action proposed policy revision 5136, personnel electronic devices. Final reading. Discussion and action proposed policy revision 5110, promotion, acceleration, placement, and retention. Final reading. J, discussion and action proposed policy revision 3433, vacation. Second reading. Update on the SBA project submissions 2026 MIP grant, Marlington Middle School roof replacement. Do I have a motion? Mr. McCombs made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. McNabb seconded. Any questions on any of the policies that I just read? Everybody understand what it is? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Mr. President, may I say something about item K?
About what?
Item K.
You can.
Okay, I just wanted to, we have officially submitted, this is a school, board, a major improvement project for Marlington Middle School. This is for a roof repair to replace the roof on there. SBA funds that we are requesting is $918,086. We are putting a local fund commitment of $350,000 to this, which makes the total project $1,268,000, $268,086. The reason I'm bringing this up is because we were close to getting our major school improvement last year. We talked earlier in the year, they said bring back one solid project. We were 2 slots from the bottom, Mr. Gibson.
I think that's what it was here.
So we are very hopeful to get this because there's some pictures there of Marlington Middle School. And the roof, we really need a roof there. So I just wanted to make sure that, you know, we've submitted projects, we've done a lot of work at the high school, that we are spreading the love and we are working on our other schools, which is a major project for us.
So where will our matching funds come from our reserve? We have some kind of reserve.
It will come from our unrestricted funds, which we have in reserve 17%, and then we have the money that's not in reserves that comes from our local tax shares,
Unrestricted.
the unrestricted funds. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about that today, Mr. Gibson. I'm gonna do a complete presentation on that. And that money comes from that portion of our budget. Our unrestricted funds, our tax funds, are those funds that we have discretionary use of. And if you recall, at the last meeting, we got our forest money, which was around $300,000 that, we had received. So we got that to put in our unrestricted fund balance too. That's all I have.
Okay, Holly done this policies all these on purpose to me, didn't she? New business, approval of Valley County out of state and overnight field trips. B, discussion and review of Pocahontas County school application for participation, non-public school students and Hope Scholarship receipts, policy 2371. Discussion possible action, Pocahontas County baseball and softball field parking and restrooms. Discussion or action approval of calendar 1 for the 2026-27 Pocahontas County school calendar. Discussion and action application for participation in non-public school students and Hope scholarships. Presentation and discussion, personal report and realignment, Dr. Williams, Superintendent. And G is permission to post the following for the personnel realignment 2026-27 school year. Teacher, Hillsborough Elementary. One teacher of multi-subject elementary interventionist. Yeah. B, Hillsborough Elementary School teacher of elementary behavior support K-5. C, Hillsborough Elementary teacher of multiple category specialist education autism K-5 self-contained. Mornington Elementary School, one teacher of college and career readiness for STEM. E, Greenbank Elementary School, one part-time coordinator for multi-tiered systems of support, part-time interventionist K4. F is counselor intermediate for Greenbank Elementary, Pocahontas County High School, and Hillsborough Elementary School. G, graduation coach, Pocahontas County High School, preferred counseling certificate. 8, one teacher of support criminal justice law enforcement, AS, criminal justice corrections, AS, criminal justice forensic investigations, AS, and dual credit CTE coursework, Pocahontas County High School. And I is teacher of support practical nursing, CAS, medical laboratory technician, AAS, phlebotomy technician, ASSC, and medical assistant partway for dual credit CTE coursework, Pocahontas County High School. Do I have a motion? Mr. McCombs made the motion. Do I have a second?
I will second it.
Mr. McNabb seconded. Any questions?
Yes. Is the one counselor going to counsel at all of those schools?
Yes, right now, Miss Dost is at Pocahontas County High School part-time and Marlton Middle High School part-time. Right now, we have Dana Cutliff, who is part-time social worker, part-time counselor. She's at Hillsborough, the high school, and Greenbank. So the way it's going to work is the counselor will go to Greenbank 2 days, Pocahontas County High School 2 days, and Hillsborough Elementary 1 day, with every other week being 2 days at Hillsborough Elementary. That way our high school's covered, Greenbank Elementary's covered. All of our schools are covered with counseling services in addition to youth health services.
So this is a new position for counsel in addition to the ones you mentioned that are already working.
Yes, this is a counselor's position that I abolished at the high school, and I'm bringing it back to serve the schools in the county. And hopefully I'm going to get a counselor.
Good, thank you, please.
Ms. Cutler and Ms. Stoffs and the other ones will be allowed to continue to do all the schools?
Yes, they will be in their schools as well,
In all of these schools?
in all these schools.
Okay.
Yes, every school will be covered with counseling. The high school, hopefully we will have a counselor there 5 days a week, every week.
That's great.
If people remember back whenever we abolished these positions, we said we was gonna put something else in its place.
Yes, we had
And
to.
you're seeing it, whenever you read this criminal justice,
Yes,
you know, we need a bunch of deputies. In the
We do.
county. So that's refer to them, you know, criminal law and stuff. So it's changing out what we had, hopefully, and getting kids into something that they want to go into that the county also needs.
yes.
You know, it's the hospitals and the, you know, nursing homes and the stuff like that. This teaching, this nursing, we've tried that several years and we had a hard time finding a teacher to teach that.
Mhm.
So, you know, I truly hope we can find somebody to teach nursing at the high school.
We have 2 nurses in the room.
I know.
I'm internally optimistic.
So, you know, it's a good time to bring this up. Always before they said, we make too much money, we can't teach. So now, one of you all might be the answer.
And to be serious,
Yeah.
I have spoken to some younger nurses that has expressed an interest in a school calendar to serve our schools. So I am optimistic that we will have somebody to teach this program. In addition to that, when we did our survey, I was kind of surprised. Most of our students, we had a lot that chose practical nursing when we surveyed the students. But we had a lot that were really interested in the medical laboratory technician, which when I worked with the hospital, they said that that was a need not just in our county, but in the surrounding counties. So I think we have a bright future ahead of us. I'm not going to say it's not going to be clunky. I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect. There's all of those things because we are starting something that has dissipated over time and we're trying to bring back great things to our students in our community. And all of these are part of the Leveled Up program where students will complete their degree prior to graduating their senior year. So it's an entry-level position, but entry-level degree, but nonetheless, they walk away from high school, job and career ready.
Okay.
This Martha Elementary School, one teacher, college and career readiness STEM.
Mm-hmm. You want to talk about that?
Well, elementary, it just stood out to me. Well, I got the agenda and looked at the first time. I thought,
Well, we do have college and career readiness standards for the disposition of getting ready to enter into careers that the West Virginia Department of Education put out, I think it was in 2018 or 2019. And what that essentially does is starts more career fairs at the elementary level and exposes the students to those 16 career clusters so that they have something they're working towards. It's more about community engagement. It's more about kids having a dream. Because when young kids don't have dreams, they don't come to school. They don't graduate from high school. So we're trying to start early and grab their attention and have them to aspire to a career. And we need it for planning. One of the things from our special ed intervention that we had was inconsistency in our rules and procedures in our elementary. And it just so happens I know an elementary teacher that comes to my house every night and stalks me. And I happen to know a few things about the elementary schedule, so let me tell you about the problem. At the beginning of the year when I first got here, and this is no slight on Mr. Anderson, you can chime in on this. And you'll see it in my presentation. Marlington Elementary School has the least amount of money spent per pupil. They also have the most difficult schedule to implement with two classes at each grade level. So in order to make their schedule work, I believe, Mr. Anderson, Vice Skeleton, please interject. I believe they had some consultants come in last year and work with the elementary schools. Long story short, the students don't have a consistent schedule. If you're in first grade, you don't go to PE the same time every day. You don't go to lunch same time every day. You don't go to recess the same time every day. And everyone knows with young children, routine and procedure is an important part of the learning pathways. You have to have routines and procedures. So we don't have that. And at the beginning of the year, the schedule was tweaked approximately 20 some times to make it work. So we need additional time there to establish these routine and procedures with our young children. And I truly believe it's going to cut down on discipline referrals there. It's probably going to cut down on attendance issues there. It's a proactive way to build capacity within our schools for our teachers and for our students.
Tell us about the baseball thing.
We're not ready for that yet.
We just read it. It's on there.
Are you going to vote on this first?
We read them all, didn't we?
You didn't vote on me.
Hmm?
No, you want me to just move to the baseball field? Okay, so,
Read them all?
no. Do we read them all?
Yeah. Tell us
Okay,
about the
so
baseball field before we
our
vote.
next presentation is, I was approached by a community member, a leader in the community league, and said that Mr. Morgan had aspired to do some work on the baseball softball field. So I contacted Mr. Gibson, I contacted Mr. Morgan. We have 128 youth that participate in our youth league baseball t-ball in our county, which is a lot of youth students participating in that. And they use our field. So I was looking at, I asked Mr. Gibson, would you like to come to the board, and Mr. Morgan, if Mr. McNabb, I'm sorry, thought you were wrong me. I don't even know what's wrong with me. All these meetings today got me shook up. So anyway, I went and took some pictures. And I must say that I was pretty shocked when I went to the field. So I'm gonna let Mr. McNabb.
McCall.
God help me. Jesus, somebody. Talk about what we saw there.
Why is our mic off?
Talk about what we saw there, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about the end. Okay, so Mr. Gibson, at least I know your date today. And Mr. McCall. Morgan, would you like to, Mr. McCall?
Well, I started on this. I can use 5 years before I retired. I went to the county commission and got $10,000 through the hotel motel grant money they gave out to put bathrooms in at the softball field because there's no bathrooms there. We use it for phys ed, soccer practices there, and we have baseball, softball games there. And as you can see, every year we rent porta johns. And at first we didn't even do that. And, when soccer teams practiced there, they had to go back up the hill to use the bathrooms. And I just thought we needed bathrooms. And I thought I could build it for $10,000, which I probably could have 15 years ago. But what I found out was if you have a public sewer on your grounds, which Pocahontas County has its own sewage system and counts as a public sewer, you cannot put in a septic tank. So I spent $8,000 of the money running the line from the baseball field to our existing septic tank. And we put it out in bids, and that was the cheapest bid we got. So now we have a sewage line in the ground. We still no bathrooms. There's water there, there's electricity there. And I would just like to see a set of simple bathrooms there for the students.
This usually comes up every spring, about the time we start looking at
When
baseball.
baseball
and softball.
starts
Oh, we need this now. I know as a construction teacher, I would get quizzed on it usually about March, and my schedule was planned. So then it would get dropped, and then the next year about March it'd come back up again. I know Morgan and I talked several times about what we thought it would cost to do when I was teaching construction. And I think that's where some of the funding you asked for came from, is our conversations. So there is a 2-inch line. Now, I guess it goes to the lift station there.
It goes to the station at the field
At the
house.
field house to pump it up to the sewer system. We do have a 2-inch grinder pump to put in a plastic septic tank, which we have if it's never been installed. I don't know exactly what our finances are for restrooms. There's been different proposals over the years. One was just a restroom facility, just, his and hers. Then one time it was just one building, one co-ed unisex type of restroom. Then we had an idea of having concession stand restrooms combined. And that sort of, it went by the wayside. So now we're back to looking at just trying to put in a male-female restroom system. So that, in the background is the sugar shack that they have in the forestry department where they're boiling down maple syrup. So that's the softball field.
Girls' fault.
Yeah, girls softball there.
They had to be in the picture because I was there taking a
Yeah,
picture.
so there's a lot of thinking going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Was, yeah. And the baseball field with the dugouts in the background, that's the home side dugout in the background there. And those were built by myself and my class about 1999, so they're getting some age on them too. The concession stand, I built it with my class probably about the same time frame.
Again with the thinking. I said again with the thinking.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
These are the bleachers. I was kind of shocked when I saw them, to be honest.
Each year we ended up replacing lumber on those for the seats, and the treads. And it's time that we need to upgrade. We need to have some decent aluminum, bleachers there or a different quality piece of lumber for seats and our treads.
This area right here, is an area, we do not have parking, down in the field area for people that have disabilities to get down there. So I feel like we need some sort of parking. And the question for the board tonight is, what is the goal? Park restrooms and a parking lot, upgrading the dugouts, gravel the road down to the field, which I absolutely feel like it has to be done because I drove that road and, it is in ill
Yeah.
repair.
We had a little bit of that road done when we did the parking lots last year, but it was just, whatever you can do with the gravel you had to work with.
I did $5,000 worth. Probably 12 years ago,
Okay.
and that was something that's not expensive.
New bleachers or repair the bleachers. I feel like we can get new bleachers. Did some of that, infield replenish and the base paths. I feel like those need to be upgraded. New base, new home plate, new pitchers mounds. These aren't expensive things. Seating for the outfield, new concession stand. It had no steps. Christy, if we can go back, and then general cleanup of the whole area. I mean, I want to be proud when I go to a softball, baseball game. I want it to be a place our students are proud to go. I want our parents to be proud, the community. And this isn't our best effort. We can do better.
It's been an embarrassment for me for what years now?
What would it cost to fix it?
Like,
I mean, I think that's what we need to look at is the price to fix it.
Well, that just so happens in your packet.
One thing leads to another.
There we go. I knew
Every
we was
time.
gonna get the price here.
So in your packet, I have put a request for a statement of qualifications. Mr. McCombs, Mr. Gibson and myself, we all talked and said, we need a good price. We need to know what it's going to cost for those things that I listed. And we would like to put out a bid for an architectural engineering firm to come and look at it and give us a variety of options to choose from. I will bring those back before the board and give you a cost on it. But I think we need to do it right because we can, and we do have the money to do it right. And I'll get a budget together and let you know where all the funds are and how much money you have in your coffers. But we can do this for our community and for our students. And it needs to be done because every person I've talked to said this needs to be done. So we need to get an RFP out and, we've done the high school and now we need to do this. And this is my own personal T-ball star, Miss Camden Thompson. We went, Papa and I saw him at his opening home game. And as I was watching him out there on his field, I thought,
Structural engineers are a waste of money whenever you've got certified excavation companies that does the same thing. There's only so many ways you can lay it ground out the drainage and make it accessible for anything to work. So it might be something you think about trying to save money also to put the installation in there.
well, what happens when we get someone to oversee the project for us? They bid it out and they get, you can get local people. When we did the board here, office here, we had local people do that work.
We want local people to do the work.
but it's someone to oversee the process and make sure it's ADA compliant.
Anytime you do anything in Board of Education, you gotta have an architect.
Yes.
That's something that's gotta be involved.
So let's go back to that presentation and let's talk about what we want on there. What are we willing to look at? Or do we want a price on all of it? What's our
I
priority?
think we need a price on all of it. I don't know what the rest of the board thinks, but we probably need a price on all of it and then see what we can afford.
If we're gonna do it, let's do it right.
Let's do it.
One
Yeah.
time.
To hear Mr. Gibson say every year about March, this comes up, you know, that's when everybody's starting to play baseball, softball and stuff. So let's fix it. Let's see what it costs and see whether we can afford it or not and see if there's any grants out there that might be able to help us too.
Especially with the handicap stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need to be handicap accessible.
It's probably what, maybe 3 to 4 parking spots at the bottom of the hill
Yeah.
where they let, you know, people they're going down if they need to, handicap accessible.
I pay attention to that stuff now.
Oh, sure.
Well, I would like to see what it would look like if we fixed it.
Mhm.
So, you know, it's something, if we got 128 kids involved in this,
In the community league, that's,
let's fix it.
And they talked to me last year about the community league. There's a strong group of parents, that's what it takes.
yes, it is.
To build the community league that will feed into the high school baseball, softball.
Because we have a strong feeding program for this. And we need to nurture those interests.
Not to mention it's,
The time and stuff.
we use it
So
for
let's-
soccer uses it too, the forestry uses it. Would use it if we had it available.
One time we had football practice over.
One time.
The freshman practice there.
Well, it's a new leaf. I'm a new superintendent and this is the first time I've been contacted and we're gonna work on it. I just wanted to get the board's permission before I ran out there and started
We'll get
working
back
on
here in a minute.
it. Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions or any questions on what we just went over?
Answer me one question. For the state, per state code and numbers of counselors, how many counselors do we have to have in this county for the number of students?
I'm gonna go over that in a personnel presentation. I'm gonna cover everything for you.
Boy, you
Okay.
are on the ball.
All those in favor,
Stole
signify by
my
saying aye. Huh? I got a second.
Oh.
Okay, you got a question?
To put this out to the public for bid or discussion or whatever.
I'm gonna do it and it's gonna go in the newspaper. I already got it prepared. I got it all ready today. Mr. Gibson, I sent it over to him and he said, boy, you're on fire.
You can't get ahead of it.
Separate, or what are you asking for?
I'm asking for a restroom facility.
Without the concession stand attached?
Yes, because they have 2 concession stands there. The one concession stand has recently been installed and Mr. Gibson, you or Morgan, Mr. McCombs, would you like to talk about the steps for that? And just, I feel like it's a safety issue. We've got some block. You want to say something about it?
They have cinder blocks laying there that you stick up on. To place your order, get your order at the window.
I think we need to fix it. Okay.
I don't think it's handicap.
But I think that's still probably a work in progress, but I haven't talked to anyone about it particularly.
No.
I like the setup they got down here in Stillwood.
It's nice down there.
Do you
They got
have
the
to-
concession stand and read.
So could Mr. Gibson do that since he's in that position?
Well, if we put it out for bid and a clerk for works is available and in our bid, then I strongly feel we should have it. There's a lot of paperwork that goes on with that. And you have to visit the job site every day. And Mr. Gibson and I spent a lot of time at the gym. We've probably spent morning and afternoon there some days.
I was there many nights.
Yeah, many nights after hours. So and we're still working on our high school project. We're still under the electrical upgrades, visiting there and dealing with issues.
Sure.
So, it'll depend on how the bid goes.
Anybody?
Well, I got something, I mean, we have a lot of needs coming up. As much as I want a new baseball facility, we also have, coming on the horizon that community and schools programs getting ready to tank, and we're gonna pick up the funding on that if we decide to. And we have a lot of things coming down the pipe.
I've got all that in the personnel agenda updated for you, and I'm gonna tell you how all that's gonna be covered, Mr. Gibson.
All right, well,
Just get there. If we could just get there, and I got it for you.
what I'm hoping we're gonna vote on with baseball, is that a cost analysis and a budget?
Correct.
It'll have to go back.
Okay.
whenever they
Yes.
get the-
We don't, we're not agreeing to do this, but
No.
we're going to look at what it will cost and get a plan.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's what we're
100%.
voting on.
All right, so, that's a lot better. I like that.
I will bring you a plan and you will look at it and say yay or nay.
All right, so, we got a lot.
Everybody ready to vote on this? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion carried.
But I'll have to do the personnel presentation.
Well, that's super. Where's it at?
It's right there. in the-
We'll do it.
Okay.
Do the personnel thing.
Okay, so.
Wayne, I don't know how you stand it, but.
You're an angel.
Mr. Williams is.
Our Mike's is dead, so we can talk.
Mr. Williams is lucky to have me. So. Thank you for this opportunity to present the personnel plan for the 26-27 school year for Pocahontas County Schools.
What's going on? Your hair's no separate. There it is. Should get it on.
We don't have any mics. Go ahead. Okay.
So sticking with our theme, Stronger Together, the goals of this presentation is provide an overview of the West Virginia Public School Support Plan. It's called the PSSP when you read about it online. Outline West Virginia code for staffing of schools and requirements of staffing in our school system. Present an alignment plan for program offerings and needs by school in our county. So I do like to start off everything with looking at state code, roles and responsibilities, and make sure that we are aligning our practices with what we have to do. So West Virginia Code 18-4-10 identifies the county superintendent as the chief executive officer of the Board of Education, holds responsibility for the general supervision of all schools, recommends personnel actions including hiring, assignments, transfers, and dismissal to the Board of Education. The Board of Education, under Code 18-5-1, establishes the County Board of Education as a governing body over those decisions, requires the board to act on the superintendent's recommendations for personnel decisions, and specifies that most staffing actions must be based on the superintendent's formal recommendation. So, staff authority structure, the superintendent makes recommendations regarding staffing decisions, which I am going to make tonight. The County Board of Education approves or rejects those staffing decisions and has a right to question those staffing decisions and for me to justify those decisions that I'm making, as we had that conversation tonight. And final appointment action of all staff requires, it originates with the superintendent, but it rests in the County Board of Education. So final consideration, staffing decisions must comply with state code, including seniority, certification, and assignment requirements. And decisions must align with the county needs, enrollment, and the funding formula. We talk about all those things, but I really want to drill down into those things and what they mean. So an overview of what the public support plan, it was in the legislative session a lot this year. They kept talking about the public support plan. They talked about funding. They talked about realigning funding, and they talked about changing funding. And I don't think a lot of people understands funding. So this is for the public as well as the board to make sure we're all on the same page. So funding supports professional personnel salaries, employment benefits, transportation, and general operation of the school system. The plan also provides targeted funding for key areas such as instructional improvements, technology integration, advanced coursework opportunities, and professional development initiatives that align with our county strategic plan. Allocations are determined based on a couple of factors. Student enrollment is important. District characteristics such as how many pupils you have per square mile in the county. And Pocahontas has the lowest amount in the state of West Virginia. The lowest amount of pupils per square mile, it is less than 5, which allows us to be funded at a higher rate because of our transportation costs and the need to have smaller schools. Identify systems of needs, and then our average daily attendance plays an important role in our funding formula. So how many kids are coming to school on a day, daily, on the average rate, figures into that funding formula. So I pulled the steps from the past several years, each of the steps and what they mean. So I kind of aligned this. So step 1 is professional educators, and this includes principals and assistant principals. And you can see what our funding was in 23-24 and what our funding is in 26-27. We have a slight increase in our 26-27 over the years, but a decrease from the 2 previous years. Step 2 is what funds our service personnel. And I'm going to talk about service personnel ratios and what that means. Step 3 is our fixed charges. Technically, you call this load. This is your OPEB, your Social Security, your benefits. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about step 3. Step 4 is the total for transportation. This includes bus repair, mileage, bus replacement. Step 5 is professional student support, which includes nurses and counselors. Step 6 is an allowance for substitute costs, and I have planned on having this total in here for you today because we are allotted a certain amount for substitute costs, and we always exceed that by a large number. So staff attendance is also of critical importance to our school system. Step 7 is instructional improvement, textbooks, AP course training, and support for that. Professional development induction for the teachers and leaders in our county. That's called step 7D. Step 8 is the total basic aid that the county qualifies for. Subtract step 9, which is our local shares. And the reason this is important right now is because we just established levy rates 2 meetings ago. Next meeting, we will see what our levy rates will be. So these numbers are preliminary projected numbers based on the taxes that will be collected. And then when we have our second month report, these numbers will become final. So our projected state aid in step 10 is $6,978,709 projected. Now here's the caveat of what was discussed. Our funding has historically been based on the 1,400 floor. That was discussed in the legislative session of lowering that 1,400 floor to 1,200. It did not happen. So therefore, I did not make RIFs and transfers because our funding remains secure for next year. Next year, there will probably be few RIFs and transfers based on our second month report. And here's why. Because in this year, by September 7th, we set the certified list. And then our second month report goes in, and that sets funding for the next year. So your funding always runs a year behind. So these funding numbers comes from the previous year, this year that we established at the beginning of the year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if we look at this, we can see that there's some areas that we have slightly more money and we have slightly less money. The reason for that slight differentiation, even though we had a loss of 60 students, we had 893 students, not this year, but last year. And this year we have 833. That accounts for changes in salary, the increase in years of experience, getting more money in those essences, not because we got more students, but because it's going to cost more to pay our employees. For example, our professional employees are going to get an average of a 3% pay increase. So we're going to have to be allotted more money for that. So within the West Virginia Public Support Plan, average daily attendance is used in specific funding components, not in the entire formula. So which ones is it used in? It's used in the transportation funding, step 2. It's used in current expenses and operations, step 4. It's used in professional student support personnel, part of step 1. Adjustments are given to each county based on sparsity and density Pocahontas has less than 5 students per square mile. So the number of professional educators funded based on a ratio per 1,000 students is adjusted. We get funded at the highest ratio of 72.5 per 1,000 students, where a highly populated county only gets funded at 72.30. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, we're getting the most possible funding through the 1,400 student floor and with the ratio because of our sparsity. So step one, sparsity can increase funding allocations for teaching positions, recognizing smaller classes and multi-grade assignments. Step two, or lower density counties receive higher transportation funding per student due to the longer bus routes and the higher cost of those bus routes. Other steps, certain special positions such as guidance counselors and nurses may also receive a weighting adjustment based on sparsity in the county. So I went and pulled our per pupil allocation by school from the West Virginia Department of Education. It's on our bound scorecard. I've reviewed that with you at the beginning of the year, and you can find every year. I just pulled last year's because this is last year's numbers is based on that. So Hillsborough Elementary, our total per pupil expenditures $25,379.66. Green Bank Elementary Middle School per pupil expenditure is $21,579.83. Marlington Elementary per pupil expenditure $19,532.70. Marlington Middle $19,260.97. Pocahontas County High School $19,451.67. Total district on average per pupil expenditure is $20,454.23. So that is what we looked at for the last recorded year. This year will be the next, will come out when we do accountability the next time. So absolute personnel requirements, Mr. McNabb. I went back and pulled the code for each section. Full-time principals for each school with a net enrollment that equals or exceeds 170 students. In West Virginia Code, you do not have to have a full-time principal under 18A-2-9 unless you have at least 170 students. Dr. Hollingsworth, who I spent quite a bit of time visiting with, and I will miss her, but I welcome Ms. McCoy to the board. Talked to me about when we would travel to training sessions about how she was principal of 2 schools at one point in time. And I believe it was Marlington Middle School and Hillsborough Elementary School. So if you look at those 2 schools combined, we barely have enough students for each of those schools to have a full-time principal. And then if you look at all of our other schools, they barely have enough students, that they are just over that 170 enrollment benchmark to have a full-time principal. So assistant principals are a luxury that we are enjoying in our school system. And that is a staffing outside of the regulation. Is the reason I'm telling you that. At least one full-time school counselor. August the 1st, 2025, 2 school counselors for each 1,000 students, provided that this requirement may not be construed to increase the number of eligible professional students to support personnel positions to each 1,000 students in that enrollment. That's West Virginia Code 18-5-18B. So it's 1 counselor per 1,000 students. Now there's other provisions in there that says may. You may have a counselor if you have over 400 students. You may have a counselor if you have over 300 students, but it's may.
Not shall.
It's not shall, and it should not put you out of your funding formula. However, I do recognize that we need counseling positions, and I said I would bring those positions back, and I am doing so, as I promised. A full-time nurse for each 1,500 K through 7th grade students. 1 nurse. And that is West Virginia Code 18-5-22. A full-time attendance director in counties with students with a population of more than 4,000. A school nutrition Child Nutrition Food Service Director is strongly recommended in Board Policy 4321.1. A sufficient number of classroom teachers to meet the minimum student-teacher ratio for K-6, and that's defined in Code 18-5-18A, and I'm going to clarify what those numbers are exactly to the board. A sufficient number of professional and service personnel to meet the requirements of IEPs. Again, that's defined in West Virginia Board Policy 2419. Required and discretionary positions are typically combined into local staffing formula that is followed in allocating professional and service staff to each school and other work sites. So we use this formula for our funding, and I'm going to talk a little bit about our funding and what that looks like. So staffing requirements in policy 2510. For every pre-K classroom and teacher you have, regardless of if you have 20 students or not, you have to have a teacher and an aide. So if you have 4 students, you have to have a teacher and an aide. That's about $180,000. If you have more than 20 students, then you have to establish another classroom teacher and aide. Kindergarten, you have to have 1 ECAT is required for the enrollment of more than 10 students. If you have 20 students, the enrollment is a full class. You can have 3 additional students in a class of 20 for 23, as long as you compensate the teacher and an aide. 1 ECAT aide paraprofessional or interventionist is required for enrollment for more than 12 students in grades K 1 through 3, with 3 additional with the teacher compensated at 28. So you can have up to 28. So this is the years that went into law. For first grade, it was 23, 24. For second grade, it was 24, 25. And last year with third grade, it was 25, 26, which is this school year. Fourth and fifth grade, fourth through sixth grade, 25 students. You can have up to 3 more students for 28 students, as long as you compensate the teacher for each of those 3 additional students on a daily rate. Fifth grade can be included with the middle school programming, as long as there's a middle school in the school or they're in a middle school. A lot of people don't know that middle school is 5-8. It's a 5-8 program. So you can include that. 25 for those classes with an additional 3, you can have 28, as long as you compensate the teacher for those additional 3 students. Unless they're in the middle school programming and they are rotating through those coursework, it will be highly unusual. And I know Mr. Williams is sitting in the room, and he had regular classes that were 30 or over on occasion, but it rarely happens. Now let's talk about our high school requirements. We are now in the stage where instead of having 22 requirements for graduation, you have to have 23. 10 are prescribed. That means these have to take courses to graduate, and 10 are personalized, which are selected courses by the students of their interest. And then this I want to divide out exactly what those look like for you. ELA, you have to have 4 credits, 3 are prescribed for 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 1 additional personalized credit of the course options. So for example, your 9th, 10th, and 11th grade English course are the ones you have to take and you have to pass to graduate. But you could have a yearbook course. That's a personalized course you could have. You could have a journalism course. You could have a fundamentals of speech course. Those courses all count for high school graduation, and they also count towards college entrance for certain careers. Math, 4 credits, 2 are prescribed. Everybody either has to have Algebra 1 and Math 1 or Geometry or Math 2. All of our students have to take those, and 2 additional personalized math credits from course options. And I believe computer science will count as a personalized math credit that you could take, for example. So, and this year I have worked with the high school. I have met with the high school on a regular basis. I have met with Ms. Bland. I've met with Ms. Wagner. I've spent no less than 2 days a week driving to the high school to meet with them at 7:15 at the beginning of the year. Now at least 1 day a week driving to the high school to meet with the high school teachers. Mr. Anderson is in tow many of those days, and Miss Dunlap, and they get up like troopers and ride with me early, and almost run out of gas a couple of times, but we stop and put it in. But nonetheless, we're moving back to the traditional math pathway, which will be college, algebra, algebra 1, college algebra, geometry, algebra 2, for a couple of reasons. With our dual credit courses, college algebra is what is taught. We are also struggling with students that are moving into our system where they do not have the Math 1, Math 2 credits and having graduation requirements met for those students. So it is a student-friendly thing that we are doing. Social studies, 4 credits, 3 prescribed, and I outline what those credits could possibly be there. World studies or an AP social studies course, United States history, US history comprehensive, or AP US history civics includes personal finance, or AP government. So there's a variety of things that you can use for your social studies required coursework. Personal finance is now a required credit to graduate. And that started with the 24-25 freshman cohort. So we really have to dig into that this year and make sure that our students are getting access to that and make sure that that's being taught to every student that's rolling through our high school. Health 1 prescribed credits that is required. One of the things that I would like to look at in our scheduling is adding an advanced PE course, and here is why. In working with the sheriff's office, part of the reason that we are 5 deputies short, part of the reason that our state police is also short, is trooper short, is because students cannot pass the physical exam. They can't do push-ups, they can't run the mile, they can't do pull-ups. So if we're adding our criminal justice course, we need to add an advanced PE course to get our students in shape so that they can actually pursue those careers that they want to pursue. Arts, 1 personalized credits. Courses are required to be offered. 4 sequential courses in music, both choral or instrumental, visual arts, general art and or studio art, dance and theater. So those are some of the things, but we have to have consistent consecutive courses like band 1, band 2, guitar 1, guitar 2. You get the gist of it. You have to have 4 of those that are consecutive in order for students to master that portion of the arts. So these are required to be offered. What that means is we put it in the schedule, but students don't have to take it. So driver's ed, a course required to be offered. 1 course in driver's education must be offered as an elective to students. Advisory system required through a comprehensive school counseling program, and we have to have meaningful personalized learning. So we have to have that in our schedule. World language, courses required to be offered 3 levels of 1 world language, and I think the levels here in Pocahontas County is actually Spanish. That's the one we are working on. Computer science is required to be offered. Every kid needs to have an opportunity to take 1 computer science course. Career and technical education, we have some requirements for that. We have to offer 1 CTE course that teaches parenting skills. I'm not sure that we had that in our schedule last year, but that is a requirement that as Chrissy's shaking her head no, she got looks. That's required in policy 2510. Personalized education plan, you have to have 4 credits in a CTE program of study, or 4 credits that lead to a post-secondary goal. We're looking for industry credentials. We're looking for completers. We're looking for students to go 1, 2, 3, 4, get something, go out and go into the governor's workforce. So that's required for CTE. So this was the interesting thing. We have a lot of courses in our schedule right now that are local courses. And this was actually discovered by Ms. Doss. They count for local graduation, but they're not counting for arts should you choose to go to college at a later technical college or a 4-year college. They're not counting for anything. I call those dead end courses. And here's why they're dead end. Because all of these courses, and you have the course code out there, these are arts courses that are also CTE elective courses that build a strong foundation in CTE. So all of these are things that we should be offering to our students for electives to be a more robust, rigorous curriculum to get students college or career ready. So what are those courses? The fundamentals of illustration, the fundamentals of graphic design, illustration, graphic design applications, ornamental metalwork, design imaging and multimedia, drafting techniques, floriculture, digital photography, millwork, cabinet making, information management, web development, and There's many more courses that we can offer our students that we really need to look at our CTE program and say, is it robust enough? Is it doing what it should do for our students and our personnel? So career and technical education, this is something that I have spoken with Ms. Dunlap about, and we are sending our teachers to training on this. And it's going to be this month that they go to training. It's actually required by the West Virginia Department of Education. It is a requirement that we have simulated workplace, that each of our career pathways is operating as a small business. So when I went to the Sugar Shack, and I saw the maple syrup, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so great. We can have a business. We can put labels on this and sell it all over the country and become famous for our maple syrup. And we don't. We don't sell it.
Oh.
But we can. And we probably are gonna. Because I'm super excited about this maple syrup baking business. So I was telling my husband, I want to make some maple syrup. I'm just so into this. So we I really am into this maple syrup thing. So the CTE program is aligned with an approved, we have 16 career clusters. And this is defined in policy 20.13. Each CTE program of study shall, this is what the law says, it says shall provide students a simulated workplace environment and the opportunity to obtain an industry recognized credential. Shall. That means we have to do what we are not doing. And I don't think it's that the teachers don't want to. I think they're going to be excited. I've talked to them about this. As part of the instructional program when applicable. Students in grades 9 and 10 must have access to at least one CTE course. We are red right now for on track to graduate. What does that mean? That means that a majority of our 11th graders, a large portion of our 11th graders have not passed 2 Englishes, 2 science, 2 social studies, and 2 math. At the semester, there were 53 students that were in credit jeopardy. So we have to do better. And that means that we are focusing on getting our kids over that hump in the fundamentals in 9th and 10th grade, getting them in those CTE electives so that they can start planning their 11th and 12th grade year and get their industry credentials and be completers. Students in grades 11 and 12 must have access to 4 units of CTE program of study and 2 CTE electives. That's when the rubber meets the road. When we are in 12th grade, we should either be getting some sort of associate's degree or some sort of blue collar worker degree. We should be getting our CTE degrees out there. Our son-in-law, he works on Storm. He's a diesel mechanic. He makes an absolute wonderful living, contract services. So there are jobs out there. We just have to get our students ready for those jobs in our course offerings. So grades 9 through 12, an alternate means to earn high school credits. We have our AP coursework, and the AP coursework just simply means that you take a course, you take an AP test, and you take an exam, right? And you get college credit for that exam, and you get to graduate from school. Our son graduated college in 3 years. We wanted him to go for 100 years and be a pharmacist, but he changed his mind, and we got over it. He now works at FCI Gilmer and loves his job. I can't remember the acronym for this, but AV courses are international baccalaureate courses, AC courses, and dual college credit courses. I'm working on the dual college credit courses. I'm working on the leveled up program of getting our kids a degree. Because Pocahontas County, and I've said this many times, yes, we're geographical isolated, but we want our kids to get degrees, work in our community, have babies in our community, grow our community, put them in our schools and grow our school system. So how better to do that than to collaborate with the community and have kids that are ready to go out and work here without leaving. So Pocahontas County, where are we? What's going on with Pocahontas County schools and personnel? So Pocahontas County, let me give you the heading. These are projected computations for personnel funding. And this is looking at where we are right now. So if you look for professional student support, and remember that's counselors, nurses, and communities in schools. We can count them in that part of our funding formula. If you look over here, we were funded for 6.93. We had 5.63 on staff, so we were under 1.3. So in our certified list, we funded half of our communities and schools salary this year, all of our funding formula, because they can count as emotional support specialists in attendance. So you don't need to worry about that. That is taken care of.
And that's all we're paid for through a grant.
That grant is being rolled back.
Yeah.
That was First Lady Justice's grant.
Right.
So now we have to find ways to fund those in our funding formula. So when I was looking at counseling positions, I was looking at positions that had been unfilled for a long period of time. And how do we utilize that money and still get reimbursed for it by providing our student services? So that's really what we looked at. Our communities and schools, one is funded out of Title I, and they're funded out of Title I because you can allocate money in Title I, 50% of their salary for attendance. And then the other two are funded 50% of their salary out of our supplement for professional support personnel. And the grant still covers the 50% of the other three salaries. So for professional educators, we were funded for 100.68. We have 94.86 on staff. That meant we had a little bit of wiggle room there of 5.82. For service personnel, so we're not over, we're under. For service personnel, we were funded for 76.87. We have 84.42, so we're 7.55 over in service personnel. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why some of that is. Down here at the bottom, I've broken down what part of our service personnel is paid for out of state aid. When you see that on the payroll every week, where's that funding code come from? What does that mean? So state aid, we get funded for 179.49, which is $8,538,663.32. The state gives us money for those employees. We get 2 state grants, which is looking at our CIS. It's also helping with preschool, and it's helping with some special education services, and I've broken that down for you in the funding formula. We get federal programs. We fund 9 positions out of 9.1 positions out of federal programs, and we have 4 county-funded programs. Some positions cannot be funded through any other source than through your county funding. My position is one of those positions. You have to fund my job or not have me. You have to fund your chief school business officer's job. She is not funded. The transportation director, sorry about this, Mr. Gibson, his job is not funded. It is an unfunded job and a personnel director's job. These are things that the state doesn't fund us for, but you have to have because you have funding sources that goes along with those. So salaries, I just kind of covered that there, but there are ways when you looked at your mutual agreements for realignment, with the exception of my position, Sarah's position, and Mr. Gibson's position. I realigned those funding positions to blend funding streams so that the county coffers aren't paying for all those salaries. Some of those salaries are paid for out of other funds. So what are our federally funded salaries in the county that we get from various types of funding streams, special ed, pre-K, Title I, Title II, Title IV, Title V. You don't need to know what all those are. You just need to come from the government. So part of the special education director's salary is from a federal stream. 50%, I believe, exactly is what is funded. The pre-K director was 25%. That used to be Mr. Anderson, and he was 75%. But I've moved that over to the personnel director. So part of their salary will be picked up with a federal funding stream. Title I teachers, we have in Marlington Elementary, a full-time Title I teacher, Green Bank Elementary, middle school, a Title I teacher, Marlington Elementary, 1 full-time, Green Bank, elementary, middle, a half-time, and a half-time. No, that's incorrect. We have 2.5 positions, a full-time at Green Bank, a full-time at Marlington Elementary, and a half-time at Hillsborough. We have 3 part-time interventionists, which were not filled. Those positions posted. Nobody took the jobs. They're hourly paid positions. A coordinator of federal programs, that is what Miss Stephanie Burns is. Most of her salary is funded out of that. However, a portion of her salary has to come out of state and local funds because she does textbooks. A math instructional coach, a part-time math instructional coach is federally funded. The assistant principal at Green Bank Elementary Middle School was 100% federally funded, and that grant ended when they came off of school improvement, so they do not have those funds anymore. Special education salary for an aide at Green Bank Elementary Middle School, a half-time salary for an aide at Green Bank Elementary Middle School, salary for an aide at Pocahontas County High School, salary for an aide at Marlington Middle School, and a half pre-com aide at Green Bank Elementary Middle School. Those are all positions that's not in that other funding formula because they're in the federal stream of funding. So positions and federal funding allocations. Again, just went down through all those, broken down, but I wanted you to see comprehensively on one page all the positions that are funded out of federal streaming. So what do the numbers mean for personnel? Professional personnel, we are currently 5.82 positions under our allocation. To better align staffing with programmatic needs, which we looked at tonight, I abolished 8 unfilled positions. All those positions had not been filled. It wasn't jobs. It wasn't people. You can't think about it like that. It was positions that our students were not benefiting from, which gave us 13.82 positions to realign our programs with. The additional days associated with 240 and 261 day contracts, this is from Mr. Gibson, he's asked about this, equals 4.2 positions. Okay, so we are covered because we were under. So those positions aren't coming out of the county coffers. They are actually taken up in us keeping our funding level down and not adding new positions. So we're not losing money out of our unrestricted funds. After accounting for these extra days, the net positions that we had to work with was 9.80 positions. The base cost for a teacher, I believe the base salary is about $38,000. The load is about $38,000. So we're looking at approximately $80,000 for a new teacher. We talk about fixed cost and we talk about the base salary. Now, not everybody comes in with 0 years of experience. You might get somebody that has 25 years of experience. 25, no, so, I was just teasing. 25 years of experience. So this can vary. For service personnel, we are over 7.55 positions. Our service personnel, including our head custodians, our county office secretaries, our maintenance workers, are all classified as 261 day employees. When you see funding sources, it's for 200 days. Every day over 200 days, you have to pay for from somewhere. That has to come out of a budget somewhere. So I called the State Department, the West Virginia Department of Education. I said, how many positions does this equate? We're over 7.55. How many positions could we cut to get down to where we need? Well, it turns out 5.42 of those 7.55 over is just in extra days that we give employees. It's in our extra custodian days. It's in our extra days here. It's in our 240-day contract. So you can't cut positions. You have to cut days to change that number. So that resulted in us just being 2.33 positions over. Now I want to mention, I told you how many nurses we need. We have 4 nurses in the county. Now all of, obviously 2.13 and 3.0 don't equate to the same number. Some of that nurse's salary is paid out of a state aid salary somewhere else that we're picking up part of that cost. But that if we had to look at where we're over in personnel, service personnel, we hire our nurses as ECATs. We need our nurses. They're doing a great job. This is not about the nurses. It's about you understanding what you're funding and how you are funding our positions. So in addition, some special education teachers and aides are funded through the federal funds, which are already covered, or other external sources, rather than the standard formula. I've already shown you all of that. There's no alternative funding source available to cover excessive days. So if we want to keep our custodians at 261, we have to find a way to fund them. And that's how we're over. Christy? She's an
That feature.
So realignment updates. What have we done and why have we done it and how's it going to help our school system? We realigned directors' positions to correspond with the program funding streams. So personnel and pre-K, they're aligned. So we got some funding stream that's going to go to that now. Special education and technology. We have a shared cost there now for our services. Federal programs is a shared cost that we have with them. So everybody's got a little bit of a funding stream. We abolished positions to support areas of need. We abolished the assistant principal at Green Bank Elementary Middle School. Originally, that grant was supposed to be $109,000. Then we went through that little federal government issue. Remember that at the beginning of the year when funds were getting reduced? The grant actually came in at $63,468.62, which was $45,531.38 less than we thought we were going to get. We put all that money into Ms. Schaffner's salary. At the end of the year, Ms. Schaffner was not going to have a job, so she applied for Marleyton Elementary and got that job. Now, will there be some carryover that's left for Green Bank Elementary Middle School to do some professional development or do some work towards school improvement? Absolutely. We just got to get those final numbers in. We just don't know what they are, and we will give it to that staff to make a decision on how they want to spend it for school improvement to continue that process in their school. 2 counselors' positions. One at Pocahontas County High School and one at Green Bank Elementary Middle. I've talked to you about how I'm going to realign those. We are going to have a graduation coach. We have preferred counseling on that. That gives us some flexibility because we're already compliant with law. And a graduation coach does serve a lot of the same services now that we will have 2 counselors there that has the mental health services covered. 3 high school positions. We had 1 ELA, 1 social studies, and 1 CTE. We're bringing back a social studies position for those of you that don't know. Criminal justice is a social studies position. CTE, the nursing program, is a CTE position. We're just realigning that to our community needs. Green Bank Elementary Middle School did not have a 4th grade position that was filled this year. It was unfilled. We abolished that position. We didn't need that position. Yes, they had a 25 or 26 in their classroom, but we didn't have a teacher. We had a highly qualified retired teacher that had served those children in 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and then in 4th grade. They could not have been in better hands than the teacher that they had for that school year. Hillsborough Elementary had a multi-subject special education position. We abolished that position because they have 11 special education students. That's what I showed you earlier. That's well within the caseload. I talked to Mr. Anderson about that. I talked to Ms. Spencer about that, and we realigned that to give them that part-time interventionist. So here's our proposed staffing realignments. For Green Bank Elementary Middle School, we have had unfilled positions there this year, so we're creating an administrative position out of their federal funding source through Title I. That administrative position will be a multi-tiered system of support coordinator, which will be a half-time administrative, oversee data, oversee student intervention, oversee all the instructional things that they need there for K-4. And at the same time, at some point in the day, they will also work with intervention groups. That is within the scope of that grant to have an administrative position like that. The purpose of the county position, we have a graduation coach, we have a shared countywide counselor, we have 2 teaching positions at Pocahontas County High School. We have a significant number of students that have autism in our county. We need a self-contained classroom to better meet the needs of those students. Dr. Combs, Mr. Anderson, and our consultant, we have all talked about this, and we feel that this is in the best interest in the needs of our students. It is not only unfair to put those students in the regular ed classroom, but it's unfair to the students in the regular ed classroom. It takes away from the attention of the teacher. And we need therapies as well to go with those students. We need a behavior person to go in there and work with them. We have a lot of needs. So we're putting an elementary program, an elementary self-contained program in Hillsborough Elementary. We're also putting an elementary behavior program. We have those students that aren't special needs, that have behavior issues. They're in first grade and kindergarten, and they don't stay in class. Okay, they beat the teacher up. We got to figure out how we're going to deal with them and how we're going to train them to be successful in school. And then we already talked about the Marleyton Elementary position. So contingent reserve positions that I'm saving money for. I'm hopefully optimistic, even though I feel like my hopes are a tiny bit dashed. We need 2 positions for a JROTC program. We need some other program to close down in the state for us to get these positions. We applied for it at the beginning of the year. We haven't heard back. We haven't heard no, but we certainly haven't heard yes. But whenever we hear yes, we need to have the positions. So we have 2 positions in reserve. So summary of what you've heard so far. We're adding a total of 9 positions. We have 7 positions immediately moving forward, 2 that's in reserves for a case we get a JROTC. We have 1 position left over in case we have an emergency special education position to keep us within budget, to keep us under our funding formula and meet any plans that should come in the future and meet our present needs. That's why we abolish positions. That's why we realign positions. That's how we're paying for all the extra days. And that's how many positions equate into those extra days. So that's a lot.
It's a lot.
Thank you. Questions?
I do have a question. I think it was on the second slide.
Okay.
We had all the schools listed and how much each student cost. Hillsborough has the least amount of students, but you pay way more for those students than the rest of the county right there. She just had it.
The reason for that is because it costs more to keep a small school open. That's the per pupil expenditures. And when you have smaller amounts, smaller classrooms, you still have the same teacher salaries. And we have excellent teachers at Hillsborough Elementary, and they have veteran teacher salaries. So it's going to cost more to fund a per pupil there because all of our classrooms have under 11 students. Some school districts, and we have not done this, have instead of a kindergarten, a first grade, a second grade, a third grade, a fourth grade, a fifth grade, they'll have a kindergarten, first grade split. But we do not need to do that at this point. You're welcome.
They did do that.
Wow.
Anybody got any questions for Dr. Williams?
Board members, any questions? Did all of that make sense?
Thank you.
You're welcome. It took a lot of time. It takes weeks, months. Actually, we started February, putting our numbers together, pulling it together. So it takes a lot of time to pull this together because personnel is nuanced.
You know,
Very nuanced. So, and I haven't given you all of personnel. I've given you what you're capable of, what you need to understand personnel. So thank you very much.
that's fine. What's going on? Everybody learn something about funding formulas?
It's complicated.
Yeah. Well, we go through this about every year. You know, the alignment of teachers, and the good thing about it this year is we're not ripping anybody in Pocahontas County. And man, we don't know how lucky we are. I just sent you a thing the other night where Canoa County, 100,
140.
140. Randolph County's 57, Upshur County 61. We don't know how lucky we have, but we've got this. And, you know, a lot of times whenever these risks come out, I wasn't on the board at that time, thank goodness, but they got a lot of relief for it. But it's helped. down the line.
I just want to say the Board of Education, the Pocahontas County Board of Education was proactive in abolishing those positions. We should be commended for their support. So thank you, because it did save staff jobs.
Board of Education remarks, Mr. Gibson?
Oh, I got a couple things. Let's, I'd like to thank Mrs. McCoy, for your appointment and all the other candidates that came to interview today. I mean, I think it's great. We have some good candidates in the future. Thank you, Ms. Williams, for your information on personnel and the budget issues I've been screaming about. I appreciate that, and I'm gonna look at it more. As I drink my coffee. And I am going to, mention the white elephant in the room that 2 weeks ago, we had a, very unprivate personnel hearing that I have been losing sleep about over for the past 2 weeks. So I'd like to get some kind of an update on, if at all possible, what is going on with that? Is there any resolution in the near future? What's up?
We cannot discuss any personnel issue that's under investigation because we may have to vote on it in the end.
You know what I'm talking about? The hearing we had in here, it's not private anymore, right? I mean,
It's aware, we can't discuss it.
okay,
Mr. Gibson, as soon as I have updates, I will bring them before the board.
that's a big deal in my world, and I don't.
Any personnel issues that come about, the Pocahontas Board of Education, and you're included in that, and us, we cannot discuss it with anybody. We can't, it just can't be discussed.
Well, I'd like to get some resolution come out soon on that, please. Thank you very much. People want resolution. That's all I have to say.
That's okay. Mr. McNabb.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and interviewing this evening, and, like Mr. Grimes said, keep out there. We didn't really want to do this, but according to code, we have to do it. We've got to appoint somebody. We wanted the public to say who they choose. So don't feel downhearted that you didn't get it or whatever, please. The other thing that I keep saying this, and tonight, we've heard a lot of stuff, about people not knowing in the community and everywhere what's going on, and lack of transparency and all that. And to be honest with you, that was one of the things I ran on. And I can tell you right now, I don't know where it comes from, because we are as transparent as we possibly can be and stay legal. It's like what Mr. Gibson's talking about. We can't talk about that. But as far as abolishing those jobs, I don't think we give you enough credit. I honestly don't. I have no clue how you have you and your staff put all of that together. That is, and you all picked a good night to be here because you've got a good taste of what this is. Okay. And with what you did and how you did it, and a lot of people in the community did not like what was going on, but I hope and pray now that they see why you did what you did, and you brought it before us, and we trust you to support you. We're not renting anybody. Nobody lost their job. Not very many counties in the state can say that. And she says it's us. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not. It's her. It's her looking towards the future to bring this county back to where it should be. That is what she is doing, and she does it every day. And I don't know, honestly, I don't know how she does it. She amazes me. I thought I was a workaholic whenever I was working, but it's unreal. And until you get in there and see behind the scenes of what all's going on and what she does, you got no clue. And I want to thank you again, and congratulations, Karen.
Thank you.
And like I say, she had, and like I said, one thing I heard several times tonight was, well, we got to plan for the future. This young lady is planning for the future. She's got a long-term plan, and I think I mentioned that several meetings ago. We don't see it until she says, we've got to do this, and then she'll explain why. But now you're seeing the parts and pieces coming together. So I hope everybody understands it and everybody sees that. So, thank you.
I think everybody got a taste of how complicated the law is. It's just a little bit we did about some money. Everything is like that. When I got my first law book, 10 years ago, it was this thick. I moved mine the other day looking for tax papers, and it's that thick. And don't want to dash y'all's hopes, but you have big hopes of what you can change, but what the only changes you're gonna make as a board member is working with your superintendent behind the scenes, talking to her, like the baseball field. I started working on that, I think 5 years before I retired, and got the grant, and I just thought it would progress. But here we are all these years later, it hadn't, well, we did bid it out during the pandemic, but there was no bids on it. So I'm glad it's moving forward. You need bathrooms, kids need bathrooms. When you have girls practicing down there and they have to leave and walk back up to the school building, that's a safety concern.
It's a safety concern.
And we're moving in the right direction. I'm glad we are. It's a good time. Kim said, well, I have a good time to be a warrior. And that's all. Now, well,
I just want to say to the board, thank you for your confidence and faith in me. I also want the public to know this is not a permanent position. This is only to fulfill Ms. Hollingsworth's term. I'm still up for re-election, just like these other people, so this is not a permanent position, but I'm grateful to be here, and thank you.
Everybody interviewed really well, I thought. I mean, you really did a good job. It's tough. We don't want to do this. We want the general public to go out there and vote for whoever they want to. And I will say this, we've had an awful good board. We've worked together. Whenever me and Frosty and I was elected, 2 months before you was, Frosty, whenever we come in here and sat down and we looked at everything that was wrong, I thought, why in the world did I do this? And I'm serious. And then Frosty gets elected and me and him started talking and he said, why did you do that?
Well, I remember Frosty, second board meeting, I just talked about some of the mess. I said, why do you do that? He said, you should be in jail.
I mean, it's completely,
But I think he probably understands a little more now.
It's completely mind blowing to see where we have come
Oh, it's
from where it went to, from potentially a state takeover to doing things the right way. And now we're getting new classes in shape at Pocahontas County High School, and we're getting teachers at different places. And the funding formula will come. One of the, I forget who it was, from one of the people we was interviewing said, money financially is one of the things that holds back. We're okay financially. We're okay financially. We ain't got any problems financially. And that's one of the things that the state, they even hollered about that whenever we was down there, because we got paid for 1,400 students. Some of the counties didn't. So we've done well financially, not just the last couple of years, but over the years. So it's worked really well. Terry, thank you for applying. Thank all of you for running for the board.
Yeah.
Because you usually get 2 or 3 people, and hopefully most of the ones that run before had a vendetta that they wanted to find out. I remember the first time I ever ran for the Board of Education, I'm gonna tell this story. There was a lady that wanted to become a cheerleading coach in Kanawha County. So she spent $1.5 million getting elected to the Board of Education.
And then probably still couldn't find her.
Yeah, I don't know if the young lady got fired or not, but it's because her daughter didn't get picked on a cheerleading squad, I'd say. But we really appreciate everybody applying, and you all done a great job. Keep campaigning. All right. we may have to make the adjustment to this next board meeting, if we can, if we can.
We got one in the morning.
You don't want to-
Yeah, no, this is the 21st.
That is.
Huh?
That's what's on the website.
Okay, that's on in the morning,
Just say
the
Monday.
21st.
No.
No,
Can we change this on the website?
to what?
To the 20th or to the 22nd?
Okay.
Next, what is?
I don't know if we can by law or not.
So, yeah, you can change it here, but then it says that's the next Tuesday, so you don't want it to happen on the 21st?
Well, let me tell you why. All these people, 3 of these people that's on the board is running for reelection.
Okay.
They are having a meet the candidates at Green Bank that night.
So here's what I have to say, we set levy rates. And there's in code when we have to have the next board meeting to set those levy rates. And I believe
That is the meeting then.
that is the meeting. Maybe because we have to set the levy rates, maybe they can move their day. Because,
Because it's too far along.
how about I check with Sarah and with, our attorney
Oh, we
and see
can,
if we can move it?
we can move the time.
Okay, we can move the time.
Because we used to do the levy rates at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we could move the time, instead of 6 o'clock, we could have it at 9.
We can do that.
That meeting up there is at 6.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
So do you want to change the time?
Other things we're gonna do for the recognition another time then.
Oh, yeah, we can teach them.
We can do it later, but if we make that, the people wear next week, like I said, so they can do their state application.
Yeah, because we have people that need to be
It'll
paid
be fine, we can do that in the paper.
Can we do it, maybe 2 or 3?
Yeah.
And then we can still ask them.
Last second. Sam, don't you take off, we're gonna watch that here.
That's too late. Please do.
Okay, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
We'll just figure our stuff
We'll
out.
figure it out.
Go. 1 o'clock. Come to town, take your mom to lunch.
Well, we was talking about Ian, then called me, I got a call. Call and work through you.
You want to set it for 1 o'clock?
Yes, if we, I think we can change the time, make sure,
We will.
we're within the
We'll see
law.
what we do.
Well, this ain't right.
So that's okay, you just move that we have it on a different time right now.
All right, but
So we put this agenda out before we have a special meeting. This agenda went out. before the special meeting.
Okay. Our next board meeting will be April the 21st, 2026 at the Pocahontas County Board of Education Conference Room at 1 p.m.
That's a special meeting.
There will be a special meeting starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. For, it's a student expulsion hearing, but it probably won't be an executive session.
What time is it? I just know.
9 o'clock.
Steve will get you up.
Yeah, 9 o'clock tomorrow.
9 o'clock in the morning.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
We are hereby adjourned. Yeah, it's an expulsion. There's the rest of the world made that.